Hey everybody, today I'm going to review Bessey's MagWand magnetic cleaner, and this is a unique product that will allow you to quickly and easily clean up metal shavings, metal filings, or even, let's say, grinder dust. Really anything of ferrous metal, it's going to stick to this. And what it's going to allow you to do is keep your shop a lot cleaner, and it's going to cut your cleanup times dramatically versus other methods. Now, in addition to that, because this is using rare earth magnets, they're extremely powerful. It's going to pull in a lot of shavings that, let's say, a broom otherwise wouldn't pick up, and you're not going to get all those tiny particles getting caught in your motors, in your hands, or maybe even in your clothes. So what I want to do in this video is give you some closer up looks at this. We're going to go over exactly how it operates, and then we're going to see how it performs. Now, I actually saw this, or one like it, about 2 or 3 years ago online, and I thought it was a great idea. I just never spent the money for one because I couldn't justify it. But now that I'm doing more and more metal work, it really would be a huge time saver. And when I saw it today at a local hardware store, I just went ahead and bought it. So I'm really excited about using this. I want to show you what I used to use to clean up things, and hopefully it's going to be a big improvement over other methods. Here's a closer look at the MagWand, and I want to go over the dimensions first because that is going to be important if you're using this in a tight area. So if it doesn't really fit, it's not going to be very effective, but in most cases it definitely would fit, and it's going to be a lot easier than a small magnetic pickup tool in order to clean something up. It's coming in at 16 inches long from the end of the unit to the end of the push rod when everything's fully retracted. The tube itself is about 14 inches long, and then it's going to be 1 inch wide. Now, it's also worth noting that the tube is made out of stainless steel, as well as the end cap on both ends, and then the little push rod is actually going to be aluminum. So both of those being non-ferrous metal. The steel shavings, because the internal magnets are going to attract it to the tube, it won't stick to that because the metal will not eventually become magnetic with use. Now, I did look at some other models of these, and it turns out that they're using a similar design, but the tube is actually made out of steel. So as you cycle the magnet back and forth, the entire tube becomes magnetic, and it's extremely ineffective at removing the shavings. Because they went with a higher grade stainless steel, you're not going to run into that issue. Now, if you notice this large collar around the center, that's what's going to prevent all the shavings, the small pieces of metal, and then the little metal chips from extending up as you pull the magnet up inside the tube. This is also going to be adjustable, so you can just grab onto it, move it back and forth, and then slide it down. And that means that your magnets are going to extend past that plastic collar, and all the shavings would drop off at that point. For a quick demonstration about just how effective it is, there's a bunch of metal shavings in front of the shop press. I have the collar extended down, and all I have to do is move it around those shavings. It's going to instantly pick up all the ferrous metal, and you can see that it is sticking to the end of that rod. Now, to remove those shavings, all we'll have to do is take the plunger, pull it out, and when the shavings hit this little collar, they're going to fall back on the floor. So to see how that actually works, we'll take a look at these two diagrams. The one on the top is with the rod fully retracted. You can see the little magnets down here in the end. It's on the other side of the collar, and that means when we have a bunch of shavings or ferrous metal, they're going to be attracted to that, and they're going to circle the end of it. Now, when you retract that rod and it pulls those magnets behind the collar, instead of being trapped right here, there's not going to be anything magnetic holding them in place, and they're going to fall back to the ground or maybe in the trash can. Prior to today, cleaning up those shavings was always a problem. Now, one of two ways was typically how I would do it. I would either use a large magnetic pickup tool like this, or I would use a broom. Now, a lot of times brooms just aren't effective. They push things around and only get the largest of the items, but the real small shavings that can embed in the bottom of your shoes, get in your clothes, or get in your hands, those typically stay on the floor or just get moved around. So that's where a magnet would be beneficial. This actually fills up extremely quickly, so I would find myself having to empty this off constantly because just this small pile is going to be probably too much for it. And you can see if I just roll it around in here, there's still a lot of it left on the floor. It's completely coated the end of this, and if you're not wearing a glove, you can easily get a metal splinter. So let's say I peel that off and then I could throw that in the trash. I would still have to go back over this again, and it's a very time-consuming process, and as you can see, it's very ineffective. So really, for something as simple as cutting through this steel pipe, typically cutting it is not a time-consuming process, especially if you use something like a bandsaw. The real time-consuming process is the cleanup. Now it's going to throw metal shavings all over the top of this bench and the floor, and I'd typically have to do a combination of using that magnetic pickup tool as well as a broom to get everything cleaned up. It would also stick to the front of my clothes, and what we're going to do now is try it out with the MagWand to see if that speeds up the process. So now that we've made our cut, we can easily clean up all the shavings off the top of the workbench. We'll take the MagWand, just hold it directly above the surface of the mat, and you can see all the shavings pulling up onto it. The magnet is extended all the way to the end, and you can see if I turn this over, all the shavings are in place. Now the total capacity for this unit, if we pulled the collar forward, is actually 12 pounds of material. So let's say you're running a lathe or a mill, you can take a massive amount of material per time with this, allowing you to clean up a lot of work very quickly. Now once you do have it attached to the end, all we'll have to do is take the plunger, we'll pull it forward, and as it does come forward, you're going to see the shavings extend along with it. When they hit that collar, they're going to stop. The magnet's going to continue up the shaft, and that means that when there's nothing else magnetic holding them in place, they're going to fall right off. Like any tool, the MagWand is going to have its limitations, and because its limitations are going to be ferrous metals, it means that any metal that's not ferrous, meaning it's not magnetic, it's not going to stick to this. So here we have a stainless steel plate, and even though that is metal, it's not going to stick to it. It's not going to stick to this aluminum, and it's also not going to stick to the wire strands, which are made out of copper. So keep in mind, as far as ferrous metals, this is effective, but if you're machining other types of metals, you're still going to have to resort to other methods in order to clean it up. So now you've seen Bessey's MagWand for yourself. Now I got to tell you, the idea behind this is extremely simple. I do feel it's very well made, and as you can see, it also does a great job. So if you're going to do much metal working and you don't like to deal with a lot of cleanup like I typically had to do, I think this is really going to speed things up for you. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. And thanks for watching.